Are you tired of the same old pro wrestling? Then check out the amazing action on Powerslam.tv, the biggest indie pro wrestling channel in the world. Get over 3,000 hours of the best pro wrestling events from over 100 of the biggest names in the industry from over 15 countries around the globe. Get your free trial today at Powerslam.tv.
Hello, friends. This is Spencer Love, your host of Over the Top Rope on the Win Column Sports Network. Don't forget you can head to wincolumnsports.ca for all of your previews, reviews, and breaking news from the world of wrestling, be it your major promotions or from the great province of Alberta, Canada.
Awesome!
This is your main man RJ from the Ringside Rant, heard only on the Visionaries Wrestling Network. So go over and subscribe across all your major platforms, iTunes, Google Play, SoundCloud, and Stitcher to hear every great interview I have every Monday on the Visionaries Wrestling Network. Go over and follow the show's page on Twitter @_Ringside Rant. Follow the network's page @BizWrestleNet. And, as always, embrace the vision.
If you like podcasts and you are listening to on Backbreaker Media, then you should listen to me, Chris Parrish,
and myself, Manoia,
and the Sounds of Struggle, because we are literally the most entertaining duo you'll ever come across in Western Canadian wrestling, baby.
We talk about things like wrestling
and other sports we like.
Wrestling,
but we won't talk about other sports that we don't like, because it's not that kind of podcast.
Like wrestling?
I mean, we like hockey.
And wrestling.
And we like football.
And wrestling.
And we also like to drink beer.
While wrestling.
Well, not while wrestling, but while watching wrestling.
Yes.
Yeah. If you want to get into a conversation with Maniac and Chris Parrish, then you need to tune into the Sounds of Struggle live on Backbreaker Media.
Every Thursday.
It's when we hope to drop, but sometimes Mike Malawany doesn't do his job right.
Or we're too drunk to forget.
Yeah, that happens too.
Yeah.
He can bleep out the swear word, because we weren't supposed to do that.
Oh,
but
I'll try not to swear. I can't do it.
Yeah. Let's face it, the two of us, we're real.
And spectacular.
And we're a little bit of all right.
Yeah.
We're also strugglicious.
That we are.
That was kind of the key. We're supposed to do strugglicious.
Oh, sorry, I'm drunk.
Yeah. So, if you don't want to listen to us, then no. You're stupid, because we're entertaining. And if you want to listen to us, then come listen to us on Backbreaker Media.
Yeah. Later, said.
Later, bitches.
Hey guys, it's Kyle Shaw, your friendly neighborhood ring announcer, and I want to thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Monday Night Shaw on the Backbreaker Media Network. I have an awesome guest this week, which I lined up at the very last minute by the skin of my teeth. And, sometimes when you go fishing, boom, you just cast your line, and sometimes you catch the biggest fish in the sea. My guest on the show this week is none other than the RCW Canadian Heavyweight Champion, Christian Strife. Funny story about this. Strife messaged me after I put out my thing where I was like, anybody in Edmonton that wants to come by, shoot the shit, we'll record the podcast. Please let me know. Like, I want to get it done today, and if nobody takes me up on this offer, then I'll do it myself. I had a fun idea that I might end up using in the future, so I'm not going to divulge what that was here and now. But anyway, Strife messaged me and said, oh, well, can you do it over Skype? And he actually wasn't the first person to do that. Terrence Pontarello, who referees for us in Calgary and is a buddy of mine, and somebody I do like online gaming with, and he's been around for a while, and he has like lots of stories about being around. And so, I mean, I understand that like a lot of people are going to be like, oh, we want to hear like the big name, superstars and stuff, but like a lot of like the sort of helpers and backstage personalities and people that are just like involved in the periphery stuff have some pretty interesting like stories and stuff too. So like that's where I've come from. So like I don't have a problem like putting those people in the podcast, because I mean I don't expect like that this podcast gets a huge amount of listens or whatever. I would like it to get more listens, and so please share the podcast if you don't mind. I 100% would appreciate that big time. But like I say, so he was like, can you do it over Skype? Terrence was, and I was like, well, I can, but I've done them all in person, and it's less awkward for me to do it in person, because like I'm like I say, I'm on the autistic spectrum, so I'm a little socially awkward, and it does help that I can see the person and interact with them. However, so when Terrence was like, oh, can you do it over Skype? I was like, well, I kind of prefer not to. Then I got a message from the champion, and I was like, oh, okay, well, like, this is a kind of a huge get. And yes, it's a last-minute interview, and I listened to the interview between Christian Strife and Spencer Love on Win Column Sports, so the over-the-top exclusive that he did, and Spencer is a far more seasoned interviewer than I am. I just basically was like, I'm going to turn on the thing here, and we'll try and have a conversation, and we'll try and structure it as we started at the beginning of the year and went down to the end of the year and then went into the near future for Strife. It's a little scatterbrained, but that's, like I say, I'm still new. I got to learn more about like structuring the podcast and stuff. I'm trying to get some running gags going and whatnot. I believe some of this stuff might be covered at the end of the podcast, so I don't want to just double down. But anyway, when the champion says, oh, can you do it over Skype? Well, he's the champion, so naturally I just figured out how to do it over Skype, and it was much easier than I expected it to be. I was stressing about it for like a couple of months now, being like, oh, I want to have Calgary guys on, but I can't afford to drive to Calgary to do podcasts, But now that the Skype is set up, Skype is super easy for everybody to... Most people already have it on your computer. You can get it on your phone. I did a little bit of a preamble with Dougie the ref, just to make sure that when the RCW champion came on, it wasn't a situation where I pressed play on the thing and we went to record it and then I buggered it up or something, or I couldn't figure out how to record. I didn't want that to happen, so I recorded a shorter little thing with Dougie, our referee from Edmonton, before that, just to make sure it's working, and it's working fine. It's very simple to do this, so yeah, that's awesome, because it's just gonna open up the availability for people to come on the show by so much. People from Calgary could come on, people from BC, people from, heck, I could, if Squig wants to line up Shane Douglas to come on the show for me, I'm not making that promise at all, but if he wanted to, we could totally do that over Skype. So yeah, no, that's exciting news. So happy holidays to everybody. Like I say, please enjoy this interview with Christian Strife. Also, a shout out to Kai March, who comes up in this conversation a couple of times, and I did shout out her podcast that she's doing with a few other fellas, the Book It Boys podcast. I listened to it on Spotify. I went down the rabbit hole while I was on night shift last night and listened to two of them. The one where they booked WrestleMania 45 was awesome. I enjoyed listening to that so much, so shout out to them. Shout out to the Two Baked Hams, Pride and Jonah. I want to thank them for all the very kind things they had to say about me on their last show. I've like I say, doing the night shifts, I have all the time in the world to podcast, so, or to listen to podcasts, and so Two Baked Hams has become a regular weekly listen for me now, especially because my shit's, like, shouted out on there, and that's, like, it makes me feel good, but, like, the kind things that they said this week about me were really, really great, and, I am very much looking to line up them on Monday Night Shaw very soon, so we're working on it and get that in the future. And now that we can do it over Skype, it might make it even easier. Anyway, also, shout out to Adam Blank from Remember the Game podcast, which was mentioned on the podcast last week with Andre C., who has been on Remember the Game twice, and I fell down that rabbit hole a few weeks ago too. I've listened to basically every episode of that by now, and that guy says on his podcast, like, if you want to be on the podcast, like, shoot me a message or whatever. So I talked to Andre about it, and he said, yeah, no, just shoot him a message, and he's got like a list of games. So that guy's gonna send me a list of games, and we are gonna tentatively record a podcast as well, and that's gonna be awesome because old video games are cool. And fun to talk about. Just almost as fun as professional wrestling, which is what we pretty much discuss here. This is Christian Strife year in review for 2018. Like I say, a huge, huge thank you to Mike the Ref for all the understanding about and a thank you to all the listeners that are expecting it to go up every 2 weeks on the Monday. Like I say, please, forgive the situation with my aunt was just one of those things. Shit happens, and sometimes you have to improvise. And so, yeah, a huge, huge thank you to everybody that helped me out with that, especially the man that you're about to hear on the podcast right now, the RCW, Canadian Heavyweight Champion, fighting out of Dynamic MMA, the Saint of Striking, Christian Strife. Enjoy. Jingle bells, Stephen Styles smells, Canadian goose laid an egg. NVR left battle scars, and Gunnar fell out of the ring. Thaddeus Archer, top talent, politicked all day. Christian Strife won the championship, and we all celebrated, hooray. Mike and Nick were cheering, Merck's title was disappearing. Pride and envy proved they're the best, and Dano and Eddie left. Dirty Ink smoked sweet leaf, then they turned on Sweet Daddy. Now he's nursing all his injuries with CBD. Okie dokie, folks. This is your friendly neighborhood ring announcer, Kyle Shaw, and you're listening to Monday Night Shaw on Backbreaker Media. Everybody saw that I had a last-minute rounding up of a guest going on earlier today. It is Saturday today. Coming to my rescue here, so that I don't have to do a show solo by myself, is none other than the RCW champ himself, Christian Strife. How you doing, Christian?
I'm good. Just happy to hand out a helping kick wherever is needed.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, no, I'm really happy you're here. I heard you on the Over the Top win column. I heard your interview with them the other day, and actually I listened to it right before this, so I didn't double down on everything you guys talked about. You know what I mean? Yeah, and I thought you did a really good job. Have you done a lot of podcasts and stuff?
Not really, actually. You would probably be the third one I've done.
Really?
Ever.
Like, okay, so what was the first one you did?
Win Column Sports with Spencer Love.
Oh, okay, and then which one was the second one?
You'll have to wait for that, but it's coming out soon.
Oh, okay, cool. Right on, right on. All right, so let's just, you won the championship this year. How did that feel?
It was a pretty big moment. Pretty much felt like, 12 years of beating the crap out of myself. I finally earned a little something. And I got to do it in front of my friends and family and kick the crap out of heavy metal, which I really love doing.
Yeah, that was a long time coming.
Yeah, 500 and something days.
Yeah. It was a tremendous feud. Both you guys, took it to the limit, absolutely. I remember the one match where you knocked heavy metal out, it was a minute in. That was pretty nuts.
I just watched that match back the other day 'cause somebody posted that part of it online.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, so I was remembering just all the crap that we put each other through, and I totally forgot that I had a neck brace. And I ripped that off to this huge pop and then just beat the crap out of metal. And I guess things got a little heated and caught him in the head and gave him a concussion.
Yeah, I remember that because that's the first time, I was baffled because it was clearly, not the way the match was, planned out or, supposed to go, I'm not trying to kill the magic here or whatever, but, it was an accident and it happened, and then, Ian, the ref, threw up the X there, and I was like, what's going on here? Is this part of the show? And it was a crazy moment for me as the ring announcer because, Ian came over, he was really intense, he was like, get in the ring, and I got in the ring and you were like, announce me as the TKO winner, and I was like, oh Jesus, and then after the show they had me sitting with metal and stuff, making sure he didn't fall asleep. It was crazy.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you just have to make do with what you're given, call a lot of it on the fly and be like, all right, we're here, how do we recover from this? And that's the best we did.
Yeah, and then, I say, a few months later, you were wrestling Derek Cross, and you ended up getting knocked out yourself.
Yeah, I got my own receipt through heavy metal via Derek Cross. Went to dive to the outside, and he was going to throw a forearm, and I guess I turned my head the wrong way, or whatever, and bone of the elbow right on the side of my skull. Split open, bled everywhere. I got 4 staples in my head. And a huge shout out to my best friend, Kaya March, for staying with me at the hospital until 4:30 a.m. and then driving me home and taking care of me all night.
Jesus. Boy, speaking of Kaya March, I actually, I just, went down the rabbit hole of her podcast, The Book It Boys.
Yeah.
Have you listened to this?
I've heard one of them, the first one she did.
Oh, okay.
I didn't get a chance to do any of the others because I've just been so busy these past couple months.
Well, definitely listen to the one about the booking of WrestleMania 45, where Kaya books all 3 of Triple H's daughters in a match.
Oh, that's tremendous.
And they're all names start with H. I was like, oh, this is it was fantastic.
I love it.
Another guy on the show, he booked both Scott Justice and Chad Gable to do double duty on WrestleMania 45. They were both in 2 matches.
At least Scott's getting bookings then.
100%. No, I thought it was awesome. It was great.
If I'm even working anywhere by the time Mania 45 rolls around, I'll be just happy.
Yeah, no, that was the thing.
And these haven't exploded by then.
Yeah, it's kind of a limiting thing because, even you think about it, is AJ Styles still going to be, an active wrestler in 10 years?
No.
Yeah. like especially at the rate he's working and stuff.
He'll be in his 50s at that point.
Yeah, 100%.
I hope he's not wrestling. 'Cause the body just can't take that much punishment that long.
No. So we started off the year, and it was the Al Snow shows. And,
Yes.
You wrestled Al Snow.
I did. That was actually the first big name that I've ever worked in my career.
Oh, really? Like, that was the first, like, WWE guy you ever stepped foot in?
Yeah,
With?
like anybody that was on TV or had any sort of name, that was the first one, was Al Snow.
Oh, wow.
So that was a huge moment in my career.
And how did you feel the match went?
Really good. I learned a lot. Like, just listening to Al and then being in there and doing what he said with him. It's like they say that you have these light bulb moments in wrestling, and just in that match, like within those 15 minutes, like 23 light bulbs went off. Like,
wow.
This is why you do this. Oh, this is why you do this. And it just completely changed my mindset. And if you noticed, after that is when I got my heavyweight title push and skyrocketed to the top of the company.
Yeah, 100%. I think that Al Snow is like an invaluable guy for for us to bring in. Like, I remember he did a seminar in Medicine Hat.
Yeah.
And I mean, I didn't like take part or anything.
I did.
Mostly because I was broke. But I overheard a few things, and I was like, wow, this guy is so like knowledgeable.
He was just a learning tree, and I was actually able to, because I was driving him to his hotel after the show.
Oh, wow.
Stopped for food, and the McDonald's was the only thing open. But we sat down at a table for an hour and a half, and just talked again, just about all things wrestling, psychology, booking, why you do this here, why you do that there. And it was just a phenomenal experience that I'll never forget.
Yeah, 100%. Personally for me, like, I was kind of nervous about it because the only other name that I dealt with was Jeff Jarrett, right?
Yeah, that worked out great for us.
Yeah.
I mean, he's in the Hall of Fame, so good for him.
So, like, when I walked up to him to ask him, like, for his weight in hometown, like, Jeff Jarrett, it didn't go well. It was, like, a 25-minute, like, ordeal of just, like, all kinds of crazy drunken antics. And, you know, he basically just made fun of me for 25 minutes because I didn't know how much he weighed.
Yep.
And, I felt bad I didn't know what the protocol was. I was just trying to be a professional, so whatever. But then with Al Snow, like, immediately, like, he, like, not only did he tell me what he wanted to be billed as, which was 1 pound more than my opponent, like, I was like, okay, well, Christian Strife weighs like 189 pounds. Like, do you want to come in? Like, do you want me to announce he was weighing 190, or do you want me to announce he was weighing 1 pound more than your opponent? He was like, no, weighing 1 pound more than my opponent. It's like a mind fuck thing. Like, it's part of like a psychological like story in the match, right? Like, he was cool about it, and he explained it to me, and he was friendly, and you know, he didn't try to get me to sing Kumbaya with him. You know?
Yeah, Al was phenomenal for that.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the next, did you end up teaming with him as well?
No, the next night was that Medicine Hat?
Yeah, we had.
The Davey Boy Smith Jr. match.
Oh wow! How did that go?
I survived, and that's about the best I can say for myself after that match.
Oh, no doubt.
If you've seen the match, which I watched that one again recently, at the end I am bloody. Half of my nose is bleeding. Harry threw me into the corner so hard that the bottom turnbuckle popped off. So we only had the top and middle ropes at the rest of the match.
Is that why the bottom rope is buggered on the ring?
Yeah, because Harry threw me into it so hard that it popped off and broke.
Oh my god. That is crazy. Like, I was talking to Squig about it when he was on my podcast about the match that Scott Justice had with Harry Smith.
Yeah.
And just like I saw Harry Smith kick Scott Justice, and I was just like, oh, like, that's unnecessarily hard. How hard you're kicking him, you know? Which, I mean, I'm on the phone with you right now, so, like, you know all about that, but, like, yeah, no, like, Harry Smith, like, he's an animal.
Yeah, like, I'm all about laying my shit in and, you know, being snug, but he's just freakishly strong.
Yeah, 100%. So, from there, after that, what was your next huge match? Was it the one with Abyss or D'Lo?
I think the Abyss one came first. Yeah, it did. So I tagged with Abyss against Heavy Metal and Big Jess in a Monsters Ball match.
That was in Calgary, right?
Yeah, where I went to the hospital after that one, too. Which was a nice awkward thing, because Jess went to the hospital too.
Oh, no.
So there's me, Kaya March, sitting in the hospital waiting room, and staring across from us is Heavy Metal and Big Jess. As my side is bleeding, because when I got put through the table, the way it broke, it scraped all up my side. Oh. And I just wanted to make sure it wasn't infected, and thankfully, that one I didn't need stitches. Jess got a bunch of stitches. So we're just sitting there glaring at each other the whole time. We're tired, we're exhausted. And Kaya's been to the hospital a lot with me, now that I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, no, that's kind of like, what I'm picturing is like a scene out of like Glow on Netflix, where, like, everybody's in their gear just sitting in the emergency room waiting to be seen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of like what it was, yeah. Although we had changed, so. It would have been better, like, if we were doing this for, like, an Archer Report thing, if it was around back then yeah, we should have done that.
100%. That's a fantastic idea.
Maybe next time one of us goes to the hospital, we will. Hopefully that's no time soon, though.
Yeah, no, I would like it if nobody's being hospitalized, you know?
Yeah, maybe the next trip to the hospital, it'll be at work, and we can actually kayfabe that.
Yeah, because, like, I can just imagine us showing up with, like, our camera equipment and stuff, being like, yeah, this guy's, like, legitimately hurt, and we want to document it for our thing, and, you know, like, just, like, being staff in the emergency room, like, and how much of a hassle that would be, and you'd just be like, no, leave, you know?
Well, they were pretty cool about me being there when I had my head split open. They seem pretty fine with anything, so who knows?
Yeah, so, I mean, getting your head split open and you had a concussion, I mean, these are, like, far from the worst injury you ever sustained. From what I heard, that you had a spinal injury that put you out of wrestling for 3 years?
Yeah, I pinched a nerve in my spine. When I was still working for PWA, did a middle rope leg drop. Guy rolls out of the way. Except this time when I landed, it felt wrong. Okay. And just had to lay on the ground for a while. And then I was stupid and didn't stop wrestling for a couple months.
Oh.
Finally, I was like, my back's destroyed. I can't do this.
Yeah, I hear ya.
So I wanted to just quit. I tried to quit. For like a year, I didn't watch any wrestling at all. And then second year, I was like, oh, I'll watch Mania. That's it. But I'm not watching anything else. And then by the third year, I was watching every New Japan pay-per-view from 2012.
So you got sucked right back in.
Oh, yeah. As soon as I dipped back in, it's like, all right, we're in the deep end. And then I started doing the training at Dynamic MMA. And once I started doing jiu-jitsu and rolling around, I was like, oh, this is just like chain wrestling. And it was like, all right, I'm done. I'm back in. I have to get in the ring. I wanted to leave. I tried, but it's like the mafia. It just pulls you back in.
Yeah, one of those, like, Hotel California. You can check out, but you can never leave.
Yep.
So, like, were the doctors, when you quit, like, were they like, you should never wrestle again, or?
They were hinting at it. They never full out said it.
Yeah.
It was like, well, your back's pretty messed up. Your knees are messed up. Your neck's really bad. Maybe you shouldn't do this to yourself.
Yeah. It is one of those things, eh? Where you're just like, I mean, I don't know if we'll even put this part on the podcast, but like when I was, like I've been training with Andrew Hawks, right?
Yeah.
And I fucking, like, separated my shoulder.
Oh, yeah.
Like, the biggest piss off about the whole thing was, like, I had to take it easy after that, you know? Like,
yeah.
It
You
kind of
can't go as
sets you
hard.
back.
Yep.
It's a bummer, but anyway, let's just move on. So from there, the next big name that we had in was D'Lo Brown.
Yes.
And you teamed with D'Lo Brown.
I did. To
Was
take
that-
on the one-time teaming of Heavy Metal and The Slammer.
Oh, wow. Was that in Medicine Hat as well?
Yes, that one was.
Oh, I remember that show. This is the same one where Metal had to convince Squig to do the dark match, right?
Yes, because D'Lo's flight was late, and I was picking up D'Lo from the airport. So I texted somebody, I can't remember who, but apparently that my message got back to Metal. And Metal's idea to prolong the show so that D'Lo would be there on time was to have Squig work a dark match.
Yes, and Squig took a lot of convincing. I remember that. Like they were literally like hounding him for like half an hour to get him to go out there for 5 minutes. It was hilarious.
Well, you gotta warm up the crowd somehow.
Yeah, no, and I mean, I felt bad for those people too. Like, legit, like the people that paid for the VIP passes or whatever, and were like, oh, you get to show up early and shake hands with D'Lo and get a picture taken and stuff, and then it was like, oh, he's not going to be here till well into the show, you know? So,
Yeah, I think we showed up around intermission.
yeah, 100, like, I mean, and it is what it is. We don't, like, RCW has no say over, you know, flight delays and stuff. You know, and like I say, we tried to make it up to the people for sure.
Yeah,
that show was a disaster all around, though.
Oh yeah, it was a mess.
Yeah.
D'Lo was great though. Like as soon as the match ended, he went to the little gimmick table, started selling stuff, pushed as much as he could to make it up for everybody that came to watch the show.
Yeah. No, and D'Lo was fantastic as well. Like, just from a personality, like, standpoint, like a personability.
Oh, yeah.
He was totally open to talk to you, and, like...
He did a lot, when I was talking to him, explained a lot about booking for me, actually. And, like, storylines and what you should do and how you want certain characters to do certain things. So that was one of the things I took away from listening to him, which was really great.
Yeah, there was some really interesting stuff during his seminar. Hey, sorry, my cat's trying to get at the cords here, the microphone.
Yeah, we'll just edit that out and post. It's fine.
Yeah, no, I'm just don't want him to fuck over the recording.
Mike, leave this in.
Yeah, but like I say, yeah, D'Lo was like a invaluable resource. And then, so, on the D'Lo Brown shows in Calgary and Edmonton, what did you end up doing on those shows?
What did I do, Calgary?
That was the show that was at the community center?
Yes, that was the big one. Oh, yeah. That was the match where Metal stripped the ring.
Oh,
canvas
I remember
away.
that. Yeah.
And we did the superplex onto that bare, unforgiving, extremely painful wood that as soon as I landed, I told myself I'm never doing this again. I'll wrestle again, I'll do fine, but I am never doing a superplex onto bare wood again.
Yeah.
It's the stupidest thing I've done in my life.
It does seem like one of those, like, hindsight is 20/20, but it probably should have been, like, pre-sight as well, you know?
Yeah, and then the next night I did a ladder match.
Oh, boy.
So, you know, stupid is as stupid does, and you just keep going.
Oh, well, nobody's trying to call you stupid, but, like, I mean,
I'll call myself stupid for doing this.
No, I'm sure all the fans appreciate it, and I mean, there's a reason, like, why you're the champion right now, like...
My knees paid for it.
100%, like, you're not gonna get to go where you're going without making some sacrifices, and, like... Even, like, it was kind of a trend-setting thing, too, because, like, I remember... Hi, sweetheart, can you please go back upstairs? Sorry, Christian.
No problem.
All right. That was an interruption by Steven Styles' stepdaughter.
I'm just doing a run-in.
4 years old. Yeah, she's doing a run-in. Steven actually wants me to have Matthew on the podcast.
That'll sell tickets.
Well, I think it might be amazing, though. Like...
He's a better booker than Squig, so...
Well, and he's not gonna pull any punches, right? Like, he's not worried about getting heat, you know what I mean?
Sure not.
No. So, I mean, that's kind of one of the reasons where I'm like, oh, maybe it would be entertaining, but also maybe it would be, like, a disaster for me.
A little bit of both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Boy. So, yeah, no, like I say, like, so you guys did the superplex onto the wood, and just so you know, like, I was, like, sitting there with Vic, and he was freaking out, going, they better not break my ring, you know?
I think Metal was trying to at that point.
Oh.
It sure felt like it, which, yeah. Unfortunately, I was the victim of this, which kind of sucked, but at least I gave it back to him.
Oh, the beating that Metal would have got from Vic would have been worth it to see had he broken the ring.
Oh, Vic would be our champion right now.
Oh, I'm surprised he's not. He's like... Vic is, like, awesome, and he's, like, the best and most hardworking guy in RCW, but he's also, like, the most meanest son of a bitch, you know? Like, if you get on his wrong side, or you do something, like, before you were supposed to do it, or... possibly in the wrong order, or you put something where it wasn't supposed, like, you're gonna be yelled at, you know?
Yep.
Boy. Like, my point was, it was kind of a trend-setting thing, because, like, it was, like, the following month, me and Squig went to a PWA show, and they stripped the ring, and did moves onto the wood, and then it was, like, a month later, it was on NXT.
Yeah, wonder where that got that idea from.
Yeah. They're totally just, like, ripping off ideas from us.
Apparently so. Just saying, we did it first.
Yeah. Okay, you also had a huge Falls Count Anywhere match with Heavy Metal in Calgary.
That would be the next on the trip, yeah. Well, there was that fun little Dead Zone thing.
Right, where you were... disguised as a Dead Zone.
Yeah, I basically had to clear my head and get everything straight. Like, what am I going to do with all this crap that Metal's thrown at me? So after the ladder match, when Jess murdered me with that spear, I disappeared for, 2-3 months, went home to BC, took time to myself. I was like, all right, I need to come back, I need to finish this, and I need to make an impact. Yeah. So how can I get Metal that he's not going to see it? And the idea just popped in my head that let's disguise myself as Dead Zone. Did that, played along with the match. And if you watch when I rip off the mask and throw the kick to Metal's head, I do not pull that at all. And if Metal was a split second shorter, he would have gotten a lot worse than a concussion that night.
Oh, jeez. Are you watching these matches? Like, where are you getting the footage to watch this stuff?
A bunch of it's on YouTube.
Really? Is it all from Stephen Lee?
A couple of it's from him. A couple of it's from one of the other guys' wife. Takes some videos for it.
Oh.
Like, she did the Falls Count Anywhere match, which is a really good quality one because it gets all the audio, like, perfectly.
Nice.
So it's a bunch of different sources I have that just send me stuff, and I just compile it all on a list on YouTube.
Yeah, I know, because, like, I would like to go back and watch some of this stuff. I just wasn't aware that it was available. I know Stephen Lee had some shows that were going up, but, like, I thought the last, like, shows that he was putting up was, like, the Jeff Jarrett stuff, right?
Yeah.
And then, like, I just noticed, like, he's kind of privately putting some up for the boys, like, just for, like, employee access or whatever, but, like, yeah, it would be awesome if we had, like, a actual, like, RCW YouTube channel where we just posted all the shows in video. Like, I mean, I understand why maybe we don't want to just give it all away for free.
Still throw a bunch of smaller matches on there.
Yeah.
Show 2 to 3 matches from every show. Be like, hey, you want to see more? Come see us live.
Yeah, I mean, other than that, the only other presence we have on YouTube really is the Archer Report, which you're, like, a huge part of.
I try to be.
Yeah. Have you, like, how closely have you been working with Thaddeus on the Archer Report?
Just whenever I'm up in Edmonton for the shows.
Oh, okay. So
a lot of that is also call it on the fly.
100%.
He just comes up, he's like, oh, I've got these ideas. And I'd be like, well, I could take this, and then I'm just going to do it my way.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, I mean, I remembered that you had the Falls Count Anywhere match because that was the first Archer Report that I did in Calgary.
Yeah.
And, like, for that one, I planned out a whole bunch of, like, nonsense. Like, I full-on scripted the whole, like, thing originally, and then it was made pretty clear, like, after, like, 1 or 2 more of doing that, it was like, okay, like, making a solid plan and scripting stuff out, like, it's ridiculous. Like, you're not going to get any of this stuff, so just show up and improvise, you know?
Bullet points.
Yeah, 100%.
Hey,
like,
I want to hit this. You just be you and hit this for me.
Yeah.
That's the same way with working a matches. Everybody wants to plan and write out their scripts and go out there and perform. It's not what the crowd wants.
Yeah, no, like, if something goes awry, then, like, you gotta be able to adapt to the situation. Like, even when I posted my little thing this morning about how I was in Victoria, and I actually did line up for a guest in Victoria, Vid Vane was gonna come on the podcast.
Oh, nice.
But unfortunately, like, I'm kind of, like, a little socially awkward and timid sometimes, so...
No, not you.
a little bit. So, like, he was like, okay, I'll message you tomorrow and we'll get it done. And then, like, I waited around all, like, I'm not trying to put it on him. It's not his fault. I should have messaged him and been like, hey, brother, like, are you ready to go? But I didn't do that. And then, so I think it just kind of fell by the wayside.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, but that's a lesson learned, right? Like, that's like with you today. It was like, oh, I said he was going to message me at 6. So then at 6 I started worrying. And then I was like, you know, I'm just going to message him and be like, hey, I'm good to go, you know, like.
Yeah, I was getting my van fixed.
Oh, is your van broken?
Oh, not anymore.
No? Oh, that's good.
It's gonna survive a whole lot more road trips now.
Oh, how many road trips have you made? I mean, I know you went to Winnipeg. I saw something about a 40-hour road trip rib by heavy metal. What's the story there?
Oh my god. That was myself, Jordan Aries, and Cameron Stevens got booked out in Winnipeg for CWE with Danny Duggan. And there was a Stan Hansen seminar supposed to happen that day. So we drive straight the 14 hours just to get there. We show up and he has a place for us to stay, which is this I don't know, I guess I wouldn't even say a house. We'll just call it a house for whatever reason.
Okay.
Where we pretty much ended up sleeping on the floor. So we got a good, nice, full 2 to 3 hours of sleep on this carpeted, questionably clean floor.
Okie dokie.
Get up and be like, alright, we just gotta go do something. Go hit up a Walmart where I bought a pillow and slept in the back of the Jeep for another hour.
Oh, Lord.
Found a gym, went to there. And then we find out that the Stan Hansen seminar is canceled because his flight out of Winnipeg got snowed in, or his flight out of Minnesota got snowed in.
Oh, I think I remember this story.
Yeah. And then it was like, oh, but we have a replacement. It's Lance Storm.
Who
And
you
I'm
and Jordan have both trained with.
Jordan had just finished the training like 3 months prior. I'm like, okay, I was trained by Storm, and I saw him pretty recently. I mean, it's always good to hear from him. I was hoping for a different perspective, like something new.
Yeah.
I'm like, we're here. All right, let's enjoy Lance.
Yeah, 100%.
Not to disparage Lance or anything. It's just when you're looking forward to something new, and it's like, oh, it's a guy I trained with already.
How did your match go?
Mine went good.
Yeah, I heard Jordan's was a little bit of a cluster.
We'll call it that, yeah.
Wait.
It was fun. It was a good learning trip.
Didn't somebody get locked in a bathroom or something as well?
Yeah, Jordan got locked in a bathroom stall at what was that? I think it was like a Taco Time or a Taco Bell. So like not even a good quality restaurant, like just this awful. And the bathroom, it's a Taco Bell bathroom, so it probably just reeked.
Oh boy.
And me and Cam, like once we realized Jordan's stuck in there, we just start popping and just laughing our asses off for this. I was like,
Okay.
all right. The fact that he's suffering is making this trip worthwhile.
So, heavy metal like got you booked on this?
Heavy Metal mentioned it as a joke to Duggan, and he was like, oh yeah, just bring these kids out. And Duggan was like, oh yeah, I actually can bring them out. So then it turned into an actual booking. And once the weather caused the Stan Hansen thing to happen and that seminar to basically get canceled, we started blaming metal for everything that went wrong on this trip. Jordan got a speeding ticket for doing, what was it, like 160 or something ridiculous.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was a $400 ticket.
Oh.
And I was like, all right, that was Metal's fault, because Metal gave the cop the Iggy to pull us over.
Oh, jeez. Keep a lookout for these guys in the silver Jeep, you know?
Yeah, so we were just blaming Metal for everything at that point.
Jordan Aries needs to slow down, man. I
He
was
was going
driving back
fast,
from a show in Edmonton with him one time. He got a speeding ticket, too.
Got one with you too?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, me and him and Cameron, we were all driving back from Edmonton, and we were actually, like, blasting wrestling music the whole way. It was a lot of fun. We blasted Scott Steiner's entrance theme song out the windows.
Sirens?
As loud as we could, and people were, like, fucking pulling over and shit. So, like, 100% it was karma. Like, that's why, like, later on in the trip, we were pulled over. And as the policeman was, like, getting out of his car and walking up, we put on the Big Boss Man's entrance song. We kind of turned it down just because, like, and then I think I gave Jordan Aries a little bit of money because, like, I appreciated the lift and stuff, and I felt bad that he got a speeding ticket,
Yeah.
I actually got a speeding ticket, too. I don't know if you heard about that. That was on my wonderful adventure with the CWE, which I actually had a really good time.
The speeding tickets.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe that's not a heavy metal thing. Maybe it's like a Danny Warren thing where he's just, like, got the cops looking out for all the boys to make sure that, like, when you come to Canada, you drive safe.
No, I'm still blaming Metal.
Okay, right on. So then, after that set of shows, you guys were supposed to do a follow-up Falls Count Anywhere in Edmonton, and I believe that's before that is where you guys where you ended up getting knocked out by Derek Cross.
Yes.
Am I right?
Yeah.
And then that put you out for a couple of months.
Yeah, so we did the Falls Count Anywhere match in Calgary where I beat Heavy Metal for the title, which was 25 minutes of just fun.
Oh no, that was one of the best shows all year.
Oh yeah, the crowd was electric for it. It was the perfect night for a title switch to happen. It's like you could feel it in the air as it was happening.
Oh, I remember it well. Like the big celebration and everything. That was an awesome. Like I think of the shows that we did this year, my two favorites would be that one or the one where we had the Bone Crusher Battle Royal.
Yeah.
I think those were our two strongest shows this year.
I was in a Falls Count Anywhere match on both those shows.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Huh. Maybe that's just some sort of recipe for success, I guess.
Maybe. So, was that was your return too, wasn't it? The Falls Count Anywhere in Edmonton.
Yeah, that was my first match back after a concussion. And that was...
Or no, wasn't it the night before when you teamed with Kevin Sullivan?
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, you and...
All these matches blur together after a while. And it's weird how you would think like, oh, right, I did tag with Kevin Sullivan. Yeah, no, I did. But yeah, that was Edmonton, or Calgary, with myself, D. Dwight Davis, and Kevin Sullivan against the NVR. And that was a nice, fun, quick little match. Got to kick Vince Austin in the face, which is always good. And Sullivan forked him in the eye. So,
oh, yeah.
win-win.
Vince Austin is like one of these guys where I showed some Archer Report stuff to my cousin while I was out in Victoria. And, you know, he's kind of like a casual wrestling fan, like he enjoys it. And the one guy, he was like pointing at Vince Austin, he was like, that guy's got it down. He's like, that guy knows what's up. Like, he's the best gimmick in the whole company.
Well, that's because it's not a gimmick. He's just insane.
100%. Like, he's straight up crazy.
Oh yeah, he's off the wall.
I've traveled to shows with him and stuff, and yeah, one of the things is that even though he's nuts, he's like, he's kind of a good friend of mine. You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy. Yeah. Like, I had no idea that when I moved to Edmonton, like, my best friends, besides like the people I like live with, was going to be like Andrew Hawks and Vince Austin and Gunnar. Like, it's really like, that's not at all what I expected. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, it's weird how things just end up happening.
Yeah, I was like,
I didn't expect to like Scott Justice and Kaya March. Like, I was like, Scott's all spotty, and Kaya isn't trained yet. She doesn't know what she's doing, and now they're two of my best friends.
Oh, yeah.
And Scott's still spotty, but I love him.
How's he doing?
Good. I think they might get his stuff figured out soon. So
that's good to hear.
Hopefully he'll be back.
Yeah, I would like to see him back so he can, get in shape for his big Iron Man night on WrestleMania 45.
Yeah, he's got a good couple years to go, at least. I just hope I'm not working him, because I don't want to take that many bumps when I'm 45.
Is that how old he's going to be in 10 years? 45?
I don't actually know how old he is.
Probably not far off from it. Like, I mean,
probably, because I'm 31 now, so I'll be 41 then. So, yeah, it'd be pretty close.
Do you think he'll still be wrestling in 10 years?
Me or him?
You.
I have no idea.
No,
I'm just going with the flow right now, enjoying it as much as I can. Because as I said, I'm in my 30s now. Obviously, I'm on the wrong side of it to get signed and sent down to NXT and have WWE put all this money and invest it into me when it'll take, 5 years to establish me, and at that point I'm 36. How many years are they going to be able to make money off me?
Yeah.
Looking at it purely from a business standpoint, which is what WWE is, it's a business.
Yeah.
So looking at that, I'm pretty much understand why my chances of making it are extremely small. So at this point, I'm just enjoying my spot in wrestling, doing what I can, and just entertaining as many people as I can, pretty much until my knees give out at this point, because I have tried to leave, and I just keep getting pulled back in. I can't quit it.
I hear what you're saying. Yeah. So you don't do you not really have any aspirations to go to WWE, or obviously it's this sort of thing, like if they called you, you'd be like, fuck yeah, I'm there, right?
Oh, absolutely. I'd go immediately. It's not that I don't have aspirations for it, it's that I understand why the odds are against me even more so than they regularly would be.
Yeah.
So I understand that, and if nothing ever happens, like if this is as far as I ever make in the wrestling business, I made my peace with that. I'm like, all right, I'm just going to enjoy myself, and if my dreams don't pan out, I'm not going to be bitter about it and be just an upset old person. Oh, I should have made it and I should have done this. It's like, no, I'm happy with what I've done, what I've accomplished. If I had to retire tomorrow, okay, I'm good with that. I don't want to retire tomorrow. There's still a lot that I want to do in wrestling, but I've made my peace and I'm okay with it.
I understand where you're coming from, but at the same time, if you were to do up a Cody Rhodes-esque list of, let's just say let's do 5 things that you would like to accomplish. I know I saw that you wanted to wrestle Minoru Suzuki.
That'd be number 1 on the list.
Yeah, and then what was the other one that you posted?
Have a Lion's Den match with Dan Severn as the referee.
Okay, and then
I could even wear Owen Hart's old Zubaz shorts he had in the dungeon match.
100%. I bet you Squig would book Dan Severn to come in and to RCW. I don't know if he'd want him to come in as a referee, but I bet you he would. If he
I'd work Severn in the match too. That'd be great.
Oh yeah, that'd be amazing.
Severn can still go. He looks the exact same.
He's got the best entrance music too.
Love that song.
Yeah. So wrestle with Dan Severn as the referee in a Lion's Den match. Who would you like to face in that match?
Doesn't matter.
Anybody, eh?
Yeah. We'll see how this whole Mitch match goes.
Yeah, I was just gonna say you should talk to Scott Leslie in Bonnieville and see if he'll book the match.
There's a possibility right there.
The Bonnieville lion mauling.
I love it.
It'd be
so
awesome.
there would be 2 things. Number 3 would just be travel more, which I've already got some stuff lined up out of province.
Awesome.
It's not announced, so I can't tell you exactly where or when.
No, fair enough.
But there is some out of province stuff that I am booked for, so technically I'm already kind of
out of country stuff, or just within
not
Canada?
Out of country yet. That would be another one then, is work at least 1 tour in Japan.
Oh yeah, that would be amazing for you. You strike me as the kind of guy that really enjoys Japanese wrestling.
I do a lot of striking, yes. Yeah, that's basically where I've stolen so much of my stuff from. The latest run has been Toshiaki Kawada, has been my main source of inspiration. Before that was a whole lot of Great Muta.
Is Kawada the guy that's known for just grabbing a guy by the back of the head and then just feeding him some kicks to the face?
Yeah.
5 or 6 in a row?
Yeah, they're called Kawada kicks.
Yeah, that's like one of my favorite moves. It's just
Love that
it's
move.
so brutal. It's like grab a guy and kick him in the face a bunch of times.
Yeah, that's Kawada.
Yeah. Anyway, I have no idea how long we've been going for. Oh, hold on, it says right there, 50 minutes and 43 seconds. The magic joys of Skype.
So,
Awesome. Okay, I don't want to keep you all night, so let's move on like chronologically. So after the Falls Count Anywhere in Edmonton, which was a great match, by the way.
it did have one of my favorite spots of my career that I can say I'm very proud of, is doing a coast-to-coast drop kick into a pumpkin into Metal's face.
Oh, was that the pumpkin that said like Merc? It like was carved Merc in the side of it?
Yeah, for some reason, Merc's name was on it. I don't know why, but
I think it was an Archer Report prop that then got repurposed as a hardcore weapon.
that would make sense. Yeah, Metal has this pumpkin, so I drop kick him in the corner, and I was like, I have to drop kick this pumpkin now. Coast to coast, pumpkin just explodes.
How
Pumpkin out of my kick pads for like a week.
how was the coast to coast there? Like I imagine like you're pretty much coming down bump like right on the side of the ring.
Pretty close to it, yeah.
Like
It's thankfully there's enough adrenaline going through you, and jumping that far that fast, like there's all the wind is going through your face and hair, that it doesn't hit you until a while later just how much it sucks.
yeah.
It's like, on one hand, it murders the other guy, but then I'm feeling it a bit later too. But sometimes you just gotta hurt yourself to give heavy metal what he deserves.
Right on. So the next big opponent probably that you're going to be facing is Leo London. Who you
Hashtag-
called out.
Yeah. Hashtag fuck Leo London.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna get that trending on Twitter now.
Sure. I'm not very familiar with Leo London. I know he has wrestled in RCW before.
He's wrestled a couple times. There was a 4-way match, which I was in, which I won. Then there was a triple threat match, with Dano Burns and myself, which I won.
So you're basically two over him, unless you pinned Dano and then you pinned somebody else and he was not involved in either of those decisions. Is that kind of where he's coming from?
I can't remember who pinned who, to be honest with you.
Yeah, no, I hear you.
It's such a blur after a while. But I know I did win those matches. So, technically, though, one-on-one, we haven't had a match ever.
Okay.
And there's the old adage of styles make fights, which really fits this situation. Leo London's a expert mat grappler. A bronze medal jiu-jitsuist, as he would like to say, and has corrected me multiple times now. But his mat work goes up against my striking. He could pin me down, hold me down, do whatever he wants. As soon as I get one limb free, I'm hitting him in the face and I'm knocking him out.
I hear you. So is that what compelled you to challenge him then is the clash in styles and just the fact that he's like out there trying to make a name for himself off of Kenny Omega and all that?
Yeah, that as well as the Omega thing. Like, joining Don Callis to help turn on Kenny Omega in Winnipeg. It's just disgusting.
Yeah, like we just talked about, like you're a big time. You have a lot of respect for the goings on in Japan and stuff, and Kenny Omega is like the biggest thing over there right now. I can't imagine that you don't in some way would like to go on to beat Leo London, maybe one day face Kenny Omega.
Absolutely. We'll throw that as number 5 on the list.
Oh, sweet. So now we have... How many do we have? Or did we just skip 2? Because I have you wrestle in Minoru Suzuki, you wrestling in a Lion's Den match, you wrestling Kenny Omega. Are we counting you wrestling against Dan Severn as well?
Sure, let's throw Severn on there twice.
Cool.
His theme music's that good, I want to hear it that many times.
Okay, so one more little, like, Cody Rhodes-esque, if you were going to make your little, like, list there. One more thing to check off.
Actually, this one would be outside of wrestling, but it would be compete in an MMA match.
Oh, really?
Yeah, full-on MMA.
So have you ever, like, done any, like, amateur fights or anything?
Not any amateur fights. I've been doing pretty much all the training with a lot of guys who have competed in MMA matches for King of the Cage, Dakota, all those sorts of stuff around the Alberta area.
Okay.
So a couple of them are at my gym. They've already competed in those fights. So I would go to them, ask them, all right, what do I got to do to get into this? The thing is, prepping for something like that is going to take months, if not like a full calendar year.
Yeah.
And that would interfere with my pro wrestling schedule.
100%.
So I would need to like set aside time to be like, hey, I need to go accomplish this goal in my life, and wrestling, I'll be back for you later. Or maybe I'll just be done with that. Who knows what the future holds?
Yeah.
But that would be one of my things on my checklist.
I don't mean to, like, have you been in any, like, street fights or anything?
No.
Okay.
No, despite all this whole violent thing, I was in, like, one fight in high school. That's about it in my whole life.
Yeah, that's like what I'm trying to relate myself to your situation, and I'm just like...
I just really love the competition aspect of it. Like, you're not fighting to kill or murder each other because you hate each other. It's like, I'm fighting because I want to win, and he's fighting because he wants to win. So there's a mutual respect there between the two opponents.
Yeah, I get what... I guess maybe it's just because of years of just... I don't know, I've always never really cared for MMA. I like wrestling because, like, it has, like, a storyline and it can be kind of manipulated and, like, you can lead people in different directions and, like, you know, it's a psychological thing, whereas MMA is just, like, a straight-up sport.
Oh, absolutely. They're two completely different things. And, like, I would never fully leave wrestling for MMA. It's just that it's something I would want to try just to see how far I could push my body to this sort of limit.
For sure. Wow. Yeah, I've heard it can be pretty crazy, like the amount of like calisthenics and whatnot that is required.
Oh, absolutely. I see it in my gym all the time. Shout out for Mr. Vince and Dynamic MMA.
Of course, fighting out of Dynamic MMA for every match.
Yep. And next up on that list, after I beat #FuckLeoLondon, is Mitch Clark.
Oh, yeah, in Bonnyville.
Speaking of MMA, he's right there.
That'll be for Lakeland Pro Wrestling. What's the date of that show? Is that July 12th? Or not
January
July.
12th.
Yeah, what the... I knew it was a month that started with a J.
Yep. So January 12th up in Bonnyville, myself and former UFC fighter Mitch Clark.
That should be pretty awesome.
It will be. I've actually never met Mitch before, but that's another... I've talked to people in my gym who know him and have seen him work, and he has the same thing Leo London has, is a fantastic ground game. So there's another styles make fights where I'm just going to try and knock him out. Because that's what I'm good at.
Yeah, I think I saw him wrestle at a Monster Pro show. I went and checked out I wanted to check out the other, like, what else is going on, right?
Yeah.
And so I went and checked out a Monster Pro show, and I believe he wrestled on there.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good to know. That's where he is.
Yeah, I know there was a lot of Monster Pro guys at that last Bonnyville show, too.
Okay.
Which is, like, one of the, like, things that I enjoy about doing those sort of out-of-town shows, like Radaway. Do you know what your plan is for Radway? Are you even going to be wrestling on that show? Do you know?
I may be out of the province on the Friday, that show, because Radway's the 11th.
Yeah.
And my flight is back in on the 11th, so I might have to miss that show, unfortunately.
Yeah, you probably don't want to fly in and go right to the building, and especially how long are you going to be away for?
A week.
Yeah.
Possibly long, depending on...
Probably just want to go home and get a good night's sleep after that. Especially before a match against an MMA fighter, you know?
Yeah, but I've done it before. Fly in from Vancouver, I was at the time, and go...
You wrestled in Vancouver?
No, I was just there at the time.
Oh, okay.
And then I flew out back to Calgary.
And then you wrestled that night?
Yeah, that night I had a match in Calgary.
Oh, wow. No, I'm sure it's not that big of a deal. WWE guys probably do it like 3 times a fucking week, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Like,
you just get used to it.
Yeah. Air travel is one of those things that I'm not used to. Like, I don't do it very often, so...
I used to not be used to it, but this year I've lost count of how many times I've been on a plane. Easily over 30.
And that's just work taking you out of province and stuff?
Yeah, just flying me different places.
Oh, wow.
Which does work out nice, because then if it lines up, I'll hit up a wrestling show that week.
Yeah, do you bring your gear and stuff?
I look online to see if there's a show in that area during the time I'm there. Yeah. And if there is, then yeah, I bring my gear.
100%. So what is the furthest place from Alberta that you've actually wrestled?
Probably Winnipeg.
Okay.
Because I did go to Nova Scotia, but the show was like a week later.
Oh, that's a bummer.
Yeah. I even, as soon as my plane landed and I walked out, and on one of the light posts there's a sign for wrestling. I was like, oh, that's Sabu on the front of this card. That would have been great to go to. Oh, I'd be gone a week before this. That sucks.
Yeah, even when I went out to Victoria here last week, there was supposed to be a show 40 minutes outside of Victoria one day, and I was like, oh, right on, I'm going to go and just show up and, enjoy the show. But I guess it got canceled or something, so it never happened. But, it was one of those things where it's a bummer where, you're kind of ooh, I want to sample, this strange wrestling, Yeah. Especially, on the independent level, we kind of know, people that are around here, I kind of have an idea. Especially, I said, I went to the Monster Pro show, and I've gone to a PWA show. So, I've seen, I kind of have a general idea of who some of the people are. But then you go off to, a whole different province or something, and it's I don't have a clue. If I went to Nova Scotia, I'd have no idea.
Oh, yeah. None of the guys I recognized were on there.
Yeah.
The only worker I know out there right now is Dynamite Dylan Davis. Which, there you go, another shout-out for him.
Okay. Oh, yeah, speaking of Dynamite, it's a total bummer about the Dynamite Kid there, eh?
Yeah, it's pretty sad.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate thing that really unfortunately goes hand in hand with the business.
Yeah. I haven't really had a podcast since it happened, so I do want to express my condolences, especially to Bronwyn and Michelle, who are also performers for RCW. I mean, I know that Bronwyn's been on the opposite side of the ring from you, cornering Metal a bunch of times and stuff, but in situations like this, it's I feel bad for the poor girl. You know
absolutely. Situations like this, doesn't matter, face, heel, whatever. That's a person and that's real life. You just check yourself at the door and you'd be like, no, this is here, this is for you.
So, I heard they did a 10-bell salute at the show in Calgary.
They did.
At Seasons Beatings. I was away. I didn't get to attend the show or announce on the show. How was he announcing on the show?
I don't know who did it, but it wasn't as good as you.
Oh, well, I mean, I wasn't fishing for compliments, but thank you.
Well, anytime.
Yeah, so, who did you end up wrestling on that show in Calgary at the Season Speeding?
Santa Crew.
Oh, this sounds awesome. Tell me, how did
Scott
it go?
Lee Crew in a Santa Claus outfit.
How long was this match?
Maybe 10 minutes.
Oh, wow. And
It was my style of match, which is bowling shoe ugly, as I've come to call them. It's you go out there, you don't plan anything, you work with each other, and you just beat the shit out of each other.
So you just kicked the crap out of Santa Claus, and I'm assuming there's children there. Like, was Scully, like, was he a convincing Santa Claus, or was it clearly just like a drunk guy in a Santa Claus outfit?
I would never call Scott Lee a drunk guy, but yes, that was pretty much exactly what he was.
Yeah, I'm not trying to insult Scott Lee.
That's my former PWA Tag Team Champion partner you're talking about.
I actually was told to ask you about the West Coast kid, Ryan LaBelle.
Yes, that was my first gimmick in 2006. When I very first started wrestling.
Oh, wow.
It lasted all of 3 months.
And how did that character differ from Christian Strife?
One's a stoner high school kid from BC.
Okay.
And the current Christian Strife is a guy who wants to fight in MMA and fight Minoru Suzuki.
Oh, wow.
So a bit of growing up happened there.
Yeah. So, like you say, you only did that gimmick for a short period of time and then traded it off? Like, did you just one day show up at a show and be like, oh, now I'm Strife?
No, because there was about 3 months, and pretty much every show I was working a guy named Punishment.
Okay.
And very quickly we became close friends, and he's still one of my best friends to this day. And I was like, well, we're just beating each other up. I would rather tag with you, because I love tag teams. So we became the Disciples of Darkness. And then we became Molgoths.
Molgoths?
Yeah.
This sounds amazing. Like, you guys wearing eyeliner and, like, trench coats and stuff?
Oh, yeah. Eyeliner, fishnets, black PVC crap, painted nails, the whole 9 yards.
Sounds like Night.
It was pretty similar to that, except I didn't know, like, I was, less than 6 months into the business, so I didn't know who anybody was.
Okay.
I was like, oh, this is cool to me, so I'll do this. And then I find out, a couple years later who Knight is and what he's doing.
Oh, so you guys were started around the same time then?
I think Knight started a few years before me.
Oh, okay.
Maybe a year or two, but it was pretty similar.
And as when you started teaming with Punishment, that's when you changed your name to Strife?
Yeah. Because Punishment and Ryan LaBelle does not sound like a very good tag team.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right.
Especially if you're going to the West Coast Kid.
Yeah. I'm from BC. That's on the West Coast.
Where are you from in BC?
Quesnel.
Okay.
Which is in the middle of nowhere.
Is that sort of like in between like Kamloops and Vancouver?
No, it's further up north. It's just an hour south of Prince George.
Oh, okay.
It's this small 20,000 people are there.
Is it on the coast?
It's close to the coast.
Oh, okay. Right on. I'm not trying to pass judgment on what part of BC you're from.
Technically, it's more the Caribou area, but the West Caribou Kid doesn't have this ring to it.
Actually, you know what? The Caribou Kid sounds like an awesome gimmick.
Maybe I should have done that. It's a little old to be calling myself a kid at this point.
Yeah.
Only Shawn Michaels can get away with that.
What did you think about the Shawn Michaels match where he wrestled in Saudi Arabia?
I haven't seen it. I saw some gifs of it, and I won't be watching it.
Yeah.
My last memory of Shawn Michaels is his amazing match with Taker at Mania.
Yeah.
I'm going to leave it that way.
I think I checked out some highlights of it and stuff, but I didn't watch the full match, and I definitely wasn't something where I was like, oh, I have to see the full thing now, you know?
Yeah.
It was
like,
a little sad.
It looked pretty bad, and, like, Hunter is fantastic with psychology, but the fact that he tore his pec, like, a minute into the match, it's like, oh, you have got 8 years rusty Shawn Michaels carrying this thing.
For sure. I also have heard, just to keep this kind of in chronological order, and we will wrap it up because we're now north of an hour, that you're going to wrestle against or with, I'm not sure exactly what the plan is, but you will in some way be involved with Shane Douglas in Edmonton.
I hope so. I would love to work against him, because that's another Al Snow situation, where he's been around for so long and done so much and just absorbed so much knowledge that working against him, I could just see again so many light bulbs going off for me and just helping refine myself even further in the ring.
He'd be really fantastic for promo work too. He's known as a really fantastic promo from back in the day.
Oh yeah, he still has the promo where he won the NWA title. That's still quoted to today in locker rooms.
Oh yeah, no, I was
just
thinking,
last show.
If he beats you, who's he gonna call out? Is he gonna be this one's for heavy metal?
Yeah, he's gonna hold up the RCW Canadian title, be like, from the heavy metals to the Christian Strifes to the Slammers, and they can all kiss my ass. And he'll just throw it down. And I'll just be selling outside the ring popping.
Yeah.
This is great. I could watch this all day.
That would be fantastic. I kind of if we have the opportunity, I kind of want to just see if we could get him to do something like that for the Archer Report anyways.
Oh, absolutely.
It'd be amazing.
I guarantee you Thaddeus is going to be all over it, and that is going to be fantastic to be a part of.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. Anyway, Champ, I want to thank you again. I know this is a real last-minute thing, and it's probably pretty clear from my interviewing skills the level of preparation that went into this.
We did pretty good for calling it on the fly.
Yeah, 100%. And, I just wanted it to be kind of a natural sort of conversation and whatnot. And, I did kind of want to cover, a review of how the year went and stuff. And having you there made it easier because you were a big part of this year. The biggest part, perhaps. I mean, Christian Strife capturing the RCW championship is, the biggest story of the year for the company so far, I would have to say.
I would have to agree with you.
Yeah. So 2019, I'm sure you're looking to retain that title as the most talked about guy in the company. And,
absolutely.
That's
got no plan to drop it.
Leo London at the show. Probably that will be in Calgary, right?
Probably January 4th if it lines up that way. Yeah.
January the 4th.
So we know he's number one on the list.
Yeah, I know he accepted the challenge on the Win Column Sports podcast there.
Yeah, they're just working out the details between the two companies and whatever. Either the 4th or the 5th, doesn't matter. Me and Leo London is headlining one of those shows.
Yeah, and then you will be involved with Shane Douglas at the following set of shows because he was going to be on the 4th and 5th shows, but now there's been a scheduling conflict, and Shane Douglas is going to be on the shows on the 18th and 19th instead, which is, that's awesome. It gives us more time to hype those shows up.
Absolutely.
And I mean, this is RCW. The boys are. It's not going to be any less of a show because he's not there. On the 4th or the 5th.
Oh yeah, we're still gonna all go out and give 100% for everybody who paid for a ticket that night.
For sure. I will be back on the microphone that night as well, which is going to be fun.
Tremendous.
Yes.
You never screwed up my intro once, so you're at the top of my announcing list right now.
Oh, well, I appreciate the fact that you've never noticed me screwing up your intro.
I honestly don't pay that much attention, so I really hope you haven't.
No,
for it at this point.
No.
So you better put yourself over.
It's like this awkward thing where like I have had like a few people be like, "Oh, you're the best announcer in Alberta," and I'm like, I don't know how I'm supposed to feel about that. Like, I'm flattered, but really, like,
I don't know. What about Ivan is pretty good.
Well, I mean, he's been in the game for like what, 14, 15 years or whatever. I don't know how long Ivan's been in the business.
Yeah. I actually hung out with Ivan a lot when I lived in Edmonton, so I'd put him at the top still.
Oh, fair enough. 100%. I'm not going to, get mad at that.
Maybe when you're 14 years into it, you'll be as good as he is.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I would like to have him on the podcast just to, like, chop it up about the kind of, like, the inner workings of, PWA versus RCW or, his
that guy has
experiences.
some great stories, too.
Oh, I'm sure he must. Like,
oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So anyway, like I say, I want to thank you for coming on the show and saving it at the last minute. Very much appreciated. Look out for Christian Strife to be in action with RCW on the 4th, the 5th, the 18th and 19th. Although Strife will not be in action on the 11th in Radway, he will be in action at Lakeland Pro Wrestling against Mitch Clark. That's going to be a huge match in Bonnyville. The first show there was a lot of fun, so make sure you guys get out to that. It's going to be a lot of fun. Thank you so much, Strife, for coming on the show. I appreciate you, spending an hour of your time chit-chatting with me. It was a good time.
Thank you. I'll come on anytime I have some free time.
Sweet deal, bud. And yeah, no, it's totally. I also I want to just put this out there, especially to Terrence Pontarello, the referee in Calgary, who messaged me like just a few minutes before you did and was like, "Oh, can you do Skype interviews?" And I was like I say, like, I've never actually done this over Skype before. I know that me and you talked about this before the show started, but I just wanted to kind of let people know that now I have that capability, so hopefully there'll be more Calgary guys on, and Terrence, the referee from Calgary, will be one of them, because I feel awful for big leaguing him. But when the champion of the federation says, "Yeah, I'll do it over Skype," you figure out how to get Skype working. You know what I mean?
Yep. I agree with you.
All right, so 100%. Anything else you have to say? Any social media plugs you want to put out there?
Yeah, you can find me Twitter, Facebook, Instagram at Strifezard, STRIFEZARD. And yeah, follow me on all there. My January, I have matches every weekend, so it's already booked up. February's starting to fill up, so it is looking like a busy 2019. And in closing, fuck Leo London.
Fuck Leo London. Steve Gillespie is a piece of shit, apparently. I'm trying to have some sort of running gag, and these are kind of the only things that I'm thinking of. The only other one is I have to in some way mention the Canadian Goose on the podcast. So there's that obligatory, I'm trying to get some, running gags. Probably.
That's a drink. Oh, no, that's Grey Goose I'm thinking of.
Well, we just need to mention it one time.
Grey Goose and, put a little tape over it, write Canadian Goose, bring that to the ring.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Ah, you're welcome. You could have that one for free.
Awesome. Yeah, no, I'll talk to you all about it later on.
If you want any more, you're going to have to slip me a little envelope.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Sweet deal. All right. Thank you very much, bud.